Plato, one of the greatest philosophers of antiquity, left a legacy that transcends the boundaries of time and human understanding. His ideas shaped the foundation of Western philosophy, but there is something in his writings that intrigues even the most contemporary scholars. How did he manage to describe the Earth and the cosmos so precisely, centuries before any technological advancement that could confirm his theories? Was Plato merely a visionary genius? Or did he have access to knowledge that transcends human understanding? In texts such as the Timaeus and the Phaedrus, Plato describes an ordered universe, guided by invisible laws and harmonies, far beyond what the common man of his time could even imagine. The questions he raised indicate a depth of understanding that seems unusual for a mere mortal. Could Plato have been influenced by something or someone beyond this world? What did he truly know about the Earth and the cosmos that we are still trying to comprehend today? Plato was not just a thinker who reflected on the moral and social dilemmas of his era. His worldview was profound and far-reaching, going beyond human issues and delving into the cosmos and the natural laws that govern it. Born in 427 before Christ, in a society where many still believed the Earth was flat, he was already speaking of spheres, cosmic harmonies, and the interconnectedness between the microcosm and the macrocosm. These ideas seem even more extraordinary when we consider the historical context of his time. How could a man living in an age with such limited resources propose such bold theories? In the Timaeus, one of his most enigmatic dialogues, Plato presents a description of the Earth as a sphere floating in space, enveloped by an organized cosmos, governed by invisible forces. He also describes the stars as celestial bodies, moved by harmonic laws, something that only centuries later would be confirmed by science. At a time when knowledge of the cosmos was based on rudimentary observations and myths, how could Plato have arrived at such precise conclusions? Did he merely have a fertile imagination? Or was there something more behind his descriptions? There are theories suggesting that Plato might have inherited part of this knowledge from ancient cultures, such as the Egyptians and Babylonians, peoples who had already made some advances in astronomy. Plato studied in Egypt, where he absorbed these teachings. However, his descriptions go beyond what any ancient civilization could have understood at that time. His ideas were refined to the point of seeming like a foreshadowing of what we now call modern science. Isn't that, in itself, something mysterious? His influences and sources of knowledge suggest that he had access to wisdom beyond the ordinary, which raises a fundamental question. What was the true origin of this knowledge? Plato also had contact with the Pythagoreans, and one of those encounters, with Philolaus, was particularly significant. Philolaus was one of the first thinkers to defend the idea that the Earth moved and was not the static center of the universe. Through this contact, Plato awakened to a broader understanding of the cosmos, but his description goes beyond Pythagorean theories. He not only believed that the Earth was a sphere, but also that everything in the universe was organized according to perfect mathematical proportions. But was Plato's obsession with mathematics and harmony merely philosophical? Or was there something more? A connection to a source of knowledge beyond? This relentless search for mathematical perfection and the harmony of the cosmos may indicate that Plato was seeking something deeper, something that could not be explained merely by the science or philosophy of his time. He believed that the sensible world was only a shadow of a higher and more perfect reality, which he called the world of ideas. In this ideal world, all forms and concepts existed in their absolute perfection, and the reality we experience would only be an imperfect imitation. This distinction, which to many seems like an allegory, may have been, in Plato's mind, a literal truth. But what could he have seen or experienced to believe so deeply in something beyond common perception? Plato's theory goes beyond the concept of abstract ideas. For him, the world of ideas was not just a philosophical metaphor. He seemed to believe that these ideas were as real as material objects, perhaps even more real, since they governed the structure of the cosmos. And this raises another intriguing question. How could Plato be so certain of the existence of these invisible forces that organize the universe? Was there some sensory contact or an extra-human perception that made him so convinced about the invisible structure of the cosmos? Some modern scholars hypothesize that Plato may have had access to esoteric knowledge, perhaps through spiritual experiences or initiatory rituals, such as the famous Eleusinian mysteries. These rituals involved mystical and altered states of consciousness, which could have given Plato glimpses of realities beyond common human perception. These rituals were known for providing visions that transcended the physical plane. Did Plato, in those moments, have some revelatory experience that connected him to a cosmic intelligence? Furthermore, there are those who suggest that Plato may have been influenced by forces not of this world. The theory of ancient contact, which suggests that ancient civilizations had contact with extraterrestrial or interdimensional beings, gains traction when we observe Plato's descriptions of the cosmos. Could his descriptions of the Earth and the universe be the result of knowledge he received from intelligences beyond Earth? As bold as this hypothesis may seem, it cannot be dismissed when we consider the precision and scope of his ideas. If we consider this possibility, Plato's ideas about a mathematically perfect and harmoniously organized cosmos could be more than mere philosophical speculations. He might have been describing something that was revealed to him, either through a mystical experience or through contact with beings from another dimension. These theories, which many consider modern, might actually be echoes of something Plato had already explored in his writings, a message he received and encoded in his philosophy. When we look at Plato's extensive work, we find fascinating descriptions of advanced civilizations, such as the mythical Atlantis, mentioned in the Timaeus and Critias dialogues. Plato describes Atlantis as an extremely powerful civilization, endowed with technical and architectural knowledge far superior to the societies of his time. However, its downfall was caused by moral corruption, resulting in its destruction in a devastating cataclysm. The question arises, was Atlantis merely a myth, or was Plato documenting something that actually existed? Atlantis may be much more than a simple metaphor for the decline of human civilizations. Some contemporary theorists suggest that Plato was documenting ancestral memories or veiled accounts of an alien civilization that visited Earth in the distant past. This society, equipped with advanced knowledge and sophisticated technologies, would have been responsible for great achievements, but ultimately destroyed due to its moral corruption. This could be a reference to extraterrestrial civilizations that, while interacting with humanity, tried to guide its progress, but ended up being forgotten in history. The concept of a highly advanced civilization and its downfall is a story that resonates in many cultures around the world. Just as Sumerian accounts speak of divine beings who instructed humanity, Plato may be suggesting that Atlantis was a civilization influenced by higher forces. These gods could, in fact, have been visitors from other planets or dimensions who brought knowledge to Earth, shaping the early human civilizations. This would explain the level of sophistication that Plato attributes to this lost civilization. The fall of Atlantis, however, could also be interpreted as Plato's warning about the dangers of power without ethics. Even advanced civilizations, capable of great feats, can self-destruct if they lose their sense of justice and morality. This message, transmitted over the centuries, echoes not only in the myth of Atlantis, but also in other stories of civilizations that reached technological heights, but failed to maintain the balance between power and ethics. Could Plato have been predicting a repetitive cycle in human history? Moreover, Plato emphasizes that Atlantis possessed technologies and knowledge about the world that seemed far beyond the understanding of the ancient Greeks. He mentions engineering and architectural capabilities that would only be possible with the use of technologies unknown on Earth at that time. This raises the question, where did Plato get these ideas? Could he have received these accounts from sources that traced back to much older or even extraterrestrial civilizations? The connection between Atlantis and a possible extraterrestrial civilization is further strengthened when we analyze the idea of a great cataclysm. Many theories about alien visits suggest that these beings may have intervened at critical moments in Earth's history, such as during periods of great natural disasters. The disappearance of Atlantis, according to Plato's narrative, coincides with the idea that these advanced civilizations could have left Earth or been destroyed after a catastrophic event. What is most intriguing is that Plato describes Atlantis as a maritime power, a civilization with vast control over the sea and its routes, implying a deep geographical and technical knowledge. This detail recalls theories that ancient civilizations might have been capable of global navigation long before traditional history suggests, perhaps with the help of alien technologies that enabled long and precise voyages. These ideas challenge conventional notions of history and open doors to a new understanding of external influences on Earth. Ultimately, Plato's Atlantis, when considered from this perspective, not only reinforces the idea of a superior civilization, but also suggests that the philosopher may have been a bridge between a mythical past and a broader cosmological reality. He not only documented the collapse of a utopian society, but perhaps tried to preserve, between the lines of his dialogues, a story of interaction with beings from other worlds. His narrative may be a key to understanding the connection between humanity and these civilizations that came before us. One of the most intriguing ideas Plato presents in his dialogues is the concept of the daemon, which Socrates often referred to as an inner voice or spiritual guide that advised him in critical moments. For many, the daemon is interpreted as a metaphor for conscience or moral intuition. But what if this inner voice was something more than just a philosophical construct? Could this entity represent direct communication with higher intelligences, perhaps of extraterrestrial origin? The idea of spiritual beings or cosmic guides is not new, being common in many mystical and religious traditions around the world. However, in modern times, many of these experiences are reinterpreted through the lens of alien contact. In several extraterrestrial theories, telepathy is considered one of the primary means of communication between advanced beings and humans. These beings, with their superior technology, would be capable of communicating directly with the minds of chosen individuals, transmitting messages of wisdom, warnings, or teachings. Could this inner voice be something akin to what we now call telepathy? Plato, when recounting Socrates' experiences with his daemon, may be offering a glimpse into how these interdimensional communications could occur. Socrates often described this voice as something that never led him astray, always guiding him on the right path. This type of communication is reminiscent of modern descriptions of contact with extraterrestrial beings who, throughout history, are said to have guided thinkers, mystics, and spiritual leaders. Could Plato be suggesting that the daemon was an intermediary between humans and these beings from other worlds? Another fascinating aspect is the idea that this inner light could be a way of accessing a higher cosmic consciousness. Plato already believed that the material world was merely an imperfect shadow of a perfect world of ideas, where true knowledge resided. The daemon, in this sense, could be seen as a direct connection to this higher world, a bridge between the human intellect and divine knowledge. But what if this world of ideas was, in fact, an interdimensional reality where these cosmic intelligences reside? This interpretation opens a new perspective on the role of the daemon in Plato's philosophy. Rather than being a simple allegory for conscience, it becomes a link to direct communication with entities beyond the reach of ordinary human senses. These entities, or higher intelligences, could be influencing the thoughts of great philosophers like Socrates and Plato, helping shape their ideas and transmitting knowledge far beyond what the ancient Greeks could have comprehended on their own. Plato also suggests that this type of communication was not something exclusive to Socrates. He believed that all humans had a connection to the divine, although most were too immersed in the material world to perceive this inner voice. However, those who were able to elevate their minds and transcend the physical plane, such as philosophers and sages, could access this kind of communication more easily. This theory suggests that Plato saw philosophers as intermediaries between the earthly world and the cosmos. Could this be an interpretation of contact with extraterrestrial intelligences? This inner light, or daemon then, can be seen as a way of accessing higher realities or other dimensions where these cosmic intelligences dwell. Modern esoteric traditions, such as theosophy and spiritism, speak of spiritual guides who help humans evolve spiritually. However, if we look at this through the lens of ancient astronaut theory, we might imagine that Plato was referring to alien guides who influenced the great thinkers and spiritual leaders of humanity. Additionally, accounts of spiritual and religious figures throughout history suggest that experiences of hearing voices or being guided by spirits are common across various cultures. These voices are often described as coming from a higher source, a cosmic intelligence beyond human comprehension. Plato, with his insistence on the existence of an ideal world and his belief in an immortal soul, seems to be suggesting that this communication was a way of accessing this perfect world, guided by beings who had a complete understanding of the cosmos. But do these descriptions have more in common with modern experiences of alien contact than we might imagine? The idea that Socrates' daemon was an intermediary between the human and the cosmic raises an important question. Plato believed that all humans had the ability to access this cosmic wisdom, but few were truly able to hear it. Perhaps this inner voice was not just a metaphor for intuition, but a veiled way of describing direct contact with cosmic intelligences that guided humanity through its great thinkers and philosophers. Plato often described the cosmos as a harmonious and perfectly organized structure, where each element occupied its place according to immutable mathematical and geometric laws. In dialogues such as the Timaeus, he introduced the idea of a demiurge, a divine architect who shaped the universe from primordial chaos. This concept of a divine architect resonated deeply throughout the history of philosophy and cosmology, but was Plato revealing more than just a simple allegory? What if this architect was actually a reference to an extraterrestrial civilization that designed the universe? A modern stream of thought, particularly within ancient astronaut theories, suggests the existence of beings known as the architects of the cosmos. These beings would be extremely advanced extraterrestrial civilizations, capable of manipulating the laws of physics and mathematics to create and organize the universe. Plato's description of the demiurge, the divine architect, could be an attempt to translate, in philosophical terms, knowledge transmitted by these cosmic intelligences. But how can we distinguish between a philosophical metaphor and a hidden reality that Plato might have been trying to express in comprehensible terms? What is particularly interesting is Plato's obsession with geometry and numbers, especially his belief that geometric forms represented the essence of the universe. The Platonic solids, for example, were considered by him to be the fundamental building blocks of creation. These geometric solids were not merely abstract forms, but concrete manifestations of the laws that governed the cosmos. Could Plato have seen in these forms a reflection of something greater, something that perhaps only he had glimpsed? If we consider that Plato was indeed in contact with a cosmic intelligence that transmitted this knowledge to him, his philosophy becomes more than a reflection on the world. It transforms into a codification of the universal laws that govern reality, an attempt to express in human language the cosmic truths he may have received from an extraterrestrial civilization. These architects of the cosmos would be responsible for organizing the stars, planets, and physical laws according to immutable mathematical principles. And Plato, could he have been a channel for this information? Plato, by asserting that the cosmos operates according to perfect mathematical proportions, may have accessed this knowledge through mystical experiences, or even direct contact with these entities. The demiurge he describes would not be merely a metaphor for a divine creator, but rather a representation of these advanced beings who shaped the universe according to the laws of physics and mathematics as we understand them today. This could explain why his mathematical and philosophical ideas resonate so deeply with modern scientific thought. Another interesting aspect is the idea that the universe was created from chaos. Plato describes this process as a transition from disorder to organized structure, something that resonates strongly with modern theories about the creation of the universe. Current cosmology suggests that the universe was born from the Big Bang, a chaotic event that gave rise to all the matter and energy we know. Plato's concept of a demiurge organizing chaos is, in some ways, a parallel to these modern ideas about the origin of the universe. Was this Plato's way of attempting to explain the incomprehensible? The notion that alien beings could have played a role in the creation of the cosmos also finds echoes in various esoteric traditions. Ancient cultures, such as the Egyptians and the Maya, spoke of divine architects who shaped the stars and planets. These cultures believed that the universe was designed and that there was an underlying order to all creation. Plato may have been influenced by these ideas, or perhaps he was one of the first figures to try to codify this knowledge into a philosophy accessible to the Western world. Moreover, if we consider the idea that Plato was in contact with these extraterrestrial civilizations, the structure of his dialogues can be seen as an attempt to transmit this knowledge in a way that his contemporaries could understand. The mathematical and geometric language he used was likely the closest means of expressing these cosmic truths in human terms. His philosophy, therefore, could be a way of preserving this knowledge for future generations. Was Plato, in his works, leaving us a hidden message intended for those capable of understanding it? This view of the universe as a perfectly mathematical construction also resonates with modern theories in theoretical physics, such as the simulated universe hypothesis, which suggests that reality may be the result of intelligent design. Plato, with his belief in the demiurge and cosmic harmony, may have been one of the first to explore this idea, though from a philosophical and spiritual perspective. If the architects of the cosmos do indeed exist, Plato could have been one of the first minds to receive and attempt to decipher these truths. Finally, Plato's philosophy, especially his cosmological vision, offers fascinating clues about how he understood the universe. His ideas about the demiurge, Platonic solids, and cosmic harmony were not just philosophical speculations, but an attempt to capture what he believed to be the ultimate truth about the nature of reality. If he was influenced by extraterrestrial civilizations or cosmic intelligences, his works become not only philosophical treatises, but also maps to decipher the mysteries of the universe and the role of the architects of the cosmos in the creation of everything we know. Could we, after all, just be beginning to understand this profound message? Plato's fascination with celestial spheres, the harmony of the cosmos, and the invisible forces governing the universe raises intriguing questions. His detailed descriptions of the movement of celestial bodies and the structure of the universe are surprisingly accurate, considering the time in which he lived. Plato seemed to have a profound understanding of concepts that only modern science would later verify. This leads us to consider a thought-provoking possibility. Could he have had some kind of contact with interdimensional intelligences or accessed realities beyond what we can perceive? In the Phaedrus and other dialogues, Plato refers to islands in the sky and perfect spheres. These descriptions point to an organized vision of the cosmos, suggesting more than simple philosophical speculation. Plato seemed to speak of something that transcended the common knowledge of his time. Could his words have been inspired by an external source, possibly linked to an esoteric revelation or mystical experience that allowed him to access knowledge of the universe in ways uncommon for his time? After all, how could he describe so precisely something that science would only confirm centuries later? Plato participated in the Eleusinian mysteries, rituals involving intense and often mystical spiritual experiences. During these rituals, initiates claimed to have visions that transcended physical reality and accessed higher realms. These mysteries were not just religious ceremonies, but gateways to dimensions of understanding that were not accessible to the common man. Plato's participation in these rites raises the possibility that he was initiated into mystical secrets that directly influenced his philosophy. Could Plato have had visions that connected him to a cosmic intelligence? These Eleusinian rituals were not an isolated tradition. Other cultures worldwide also had similar rituals, where participants believed they had contact with spiritual entities or beings that existed on other planes of reality. The Egyptian spiritual tradition, for instance, which Plato also encountered, involved concepts of the afterlife and hidden dimensions beyond our world. Could it be that Plato received knowledge from these other realities through his participation in these esoteric rituals? This could explain why his ideas about the soul, the cosmos, and the universe are so advanced for the period in which he lived. Another intriguing piece of evidence is Plato's idea of always seeking to connect the physical world with the metaphysical one. He believed that true knowledge could only be found by transcending the limits imposed by the physical body. This belief in the existence of a world of ideas, perfect and unreachable by the ordinary man, may reflect something he directly experienced. What he called the world of ideas may actually be a veiled reference to interdimensional realities that he explored or encountered. Could these realities be inhabited by entities that govern the universe in an invisible structure? Plato also frequently spoke of a daemon, a guiding spirit that gave him advice and direction. This concept appears repeatedly in his dialogues, especially in the figure of Socrates, who claimed to hear an inner voice guiding him in his decisions. Some scholars interpret this daemon as a philosophical metaphor, but others believe he may have been referring to a form of mediumship or connection with beings or entities from other planes of existence. If this is true, could Plato have been a kind of intermediary, capable of hearing and interpreting messages from another dimension? The idea that Plato could have been a medium or had access to a form of extrasensory perception is not as far-fetched as it seems. Many philosophical and spiritual traditions throughout history defend the existence of individuals with the ability to contact other dimensions and access realities beyond most people's reach. If we consider that Plato was part of an intellectual and spiritual elite circle, it is possible that he developed these abilities through occult and spiritual practices. This would explain how he reached such depth in his teachings about the universe and the invisible forces that govern it. Another clue to possible interdimensional contact lies in Plato's descriptions of the mathematical and geometric order of the cosmos. He firmly believed that the universe operated according to precise and harmonious laws, which would later be confirmed by modern science with discoveries about gravity, planetary orbits, and the forces governing the universe. How could Plato have reached these conclusions without the proper scientific tools to observe them? Could his understanding of the universe have extended beyond what human senses could grasp, guided by a superior intelligence? The impact of his ideas on cosmic harmony and the interconnectedness of the universe continues to influence not only philosophy, but also modern science. His vision of the cosmos as an ordered and mathematical system resonates strongly with current theories in physics and cosmology. Many scientists and scholars today consider Plato's ideas about the universe to be precursors of concepts that would only be developed centuries later. This raises a central question. What was the true source of this knowledge? Was Plato a visionary, or did he indeed have access to wisdom that transcends the limits of time and science? If Plato truly had some kind of contact with interdimensional beings, or received inspiration from a source beyond human understanding, this would explain why his ideas still seem so advanced and mysterious. He could have been a channel to convey truths that were not accessible to most people of his time. These interdimensional entities might have shared with him not only knowledge about the cosmos, but also a vision of existence that transcends time and space. Is it possible that Plato was chosen to reveal these truths to humanity? This possibility raises fascinating questions about the nature of human knowledge. Plato could have been much more than a philosopher. Perhaps he was a bridge between the physical world and higher realities, a mind capable of absorbing and transmitting cosmic truths that remain beyond our comprehension. Was Plato influenced by interdimensional forces that shaped his philosophy and worldview? Could his teachings, after all, be an attempt to reveal the universe's secrets to us? Throughout his works, Plato left us much more than philosophical reflections. He offered us a vision that may transcend human understanding. His descriptions of the cosmos, Atlantis, and universal harmony suggest that he had access to knowledge that remains intriguing today. Whether through contact with advanced civilizations or through a connection to interdimensional realities, Plato opened doors to a deeper understanding of the universe and our place within it. His theories continue to inspire us to question what we know and seek truths beyond the visible. If you're interested in exploring more about spirituality, I've selected some videos full of deep knowledge and fascinating discoveries that you'll love. Just click on one of them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of self-discovery and spiritual learning. Your commitment to knowledge is the first step in transforming your reality.